It's been a year since I was released from a psychiatric facility where I was put through some really questionable conditions. I'd like to start this video with a disclaimer that this is my own experience in the psych ward I was put in, and it does not represent every mental facility. I'm sure there are better facilities than the one I had to enter, so please keep that in mind. Hours of police, paramedics, and my whole world being torn apart later, a doctor determined I needed to be sent to a facility right away. When I got there, they took all my stuff away. I was only allowed to keep my favorite plushie, Bulborb. They told me with good behavior, they'd allow me to have calls, and with even better behavior, I could be released. I was a shut-in that couldn't come out of her room. To say this was a very drastic and sudden change would be an understatement. The vibes there were pretty awful. Everyone was sick from the cold, and some had been there for months at that point. Something that added to the hopelessness of it all. The nurse assigned to me led me to my home for the next 2 weeks. A tall, white building that everyone called the freezer. This was because the temperature was unbearably cold. The freezer had a schedule. At the time, it was arts and crafts. I joined the other patients by cutting cardboard and painting them into little gingerbread cookies. There was one specific patient that was very drawn to me. She wanted to know more about me and complimented me of all things. She was a ray of sunshine in a dark, secluded situation I was in. That was until the nurses would yell at her to get away from me. She didn't do anything. They just were cruel for no reason. She wanted to see my injuries and forcibly hug me. But I don't think it warranted the way they treated her, and I would always feel so heartbroken about it. It said a lot about the staff there. They just treated us like crazy people. Oh yeah, that is what they think we are. Every time I cried, a nurse would come at me, yelling me to stop crying, saying things like, if you keep crying, we'll tell the doctor that you've gotten worse, meaning that I would have to stay there longer. When I went to my room the first night, I realized that the facility wasn't in its best condition. I mean, there were blood stains in the bars that covered the stairs. As I was getting ready to sleep in my assigned room, a doctor came in and with a warning, injected me on my left arm. I had no idea what was in that syringe. Whatever it was, it made me wake up covered in my own vomit and other things that I would need to clean. I tried multiple times to ask about it, but they were just always dismissive and acted like they didn't know anything about it. But every night, they'd inject us with the same thing, and whatever it was, it made me feel like a walking, stuffingless plushie. Every day was the same schedule. Wake up, make sure I didn't puke in the night, shower, which I had the privilege of taking on my own as other patients would have to share them, walking in the yard and religious prayer, cigarettes and AA meeting, arts and craft, lunchtime, arts and craft. I almost forgot to add this, but I got to keep one of the Christmas socks I made. Look! It's a Bulborb sock. Free time, which I just spent in my room crying. Dinner, and then meds time, where we would all line up to receive our daily bottles. And finally sleep, rinse, and repeat. During one of our lunch times, a guy sitting in front of me was talking about how much he hated the food there, and how he wished he could just get a big bucket of KFC. I don't know why, but I decided to comment that I would much prefer chicken from Raising Cane's. Somehow, that turned the conversation from chicken to Texas to Republican to Nazi ideologies. All things that will be widely uncomfortable. All three of the men that were talking about it turned to me and asked me with a killer intent, "Yo, Pau, are you a liberal?" Let's not bring politics to the dinner table. And everyone cheered. Yeah, we should be more like Pau. Yeah. Gosh. All of us were told that we'd have designated therapy time once or twice every week, but that never actually happened. And it sounds like something essential in a mental health place. This is a mental health place. But no, I never got once. I was just forced to keep everything inside me during that time. What they did enforce, however, was solitary confinement. I don't think I can stress enough how terrifying these days were for me, and I was just praying that me acting as agreeable, good as I could, would get me out of there, or at least a call with my big sister. And about a week in, I finally was allowed to receive calls from them. The horrible anxiety that I have been carrying was finally able to rest a little. And yeah, those calls were everything to me. If I was to talk about every single detail that happened there, I'd be here forever. Like how during all of this I was being medically detransitioned and was deprived of my teeth. Like how one day I woke up to a flood because one of the showers got clogged. And just in general, the stuff was very, very unleashed. Like whenever I would hallucinate or a patient would act out, they really treated us like really badly. The staff never really reassured me about my situation. They just told me that it's very likely that I might just be there forever. So yeah, every day was a bit of the same. Eventually, 2 weeks later, the doctor finally allowed me to live with some conditions. I wouldn't have to spend Christmas there and my life changed forever. Thanks for watching, sleepyheads. For as much as this experience was awful, it's the only reason I'm alive today. And 1 year later, I think I'm doing a tiny bit better both physically and mentally. I wish I could play a ukulele and give mental health advice, but honestly I don't even know how to take care of myself yet. I've never really asked for help. It's always been forced upon me after I did something rash. But whether it's mandated or your own willpower, help is there. You are loved. Sorry if I come across as a little useless, but I am trying my best, so you have to be too. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. Good nighty.